yell Barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Shut up. I'm rich. I'm richer than all this, you Hollywood trash.
A, you can never go too far. B, if I'm gonna get busted, it is not gonna be by a guy like that.
I'll be back.
Here's Johnny!
Top news stories of the week. Time to find out once again with Megan Olson and News of the Week on The Al Travis Show.
I love having her on the program. She breaks things down for us, and I just don't understand much. Megan, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Al. This snuck up on me, Tuesday after a holiday weekend. I'm like, oh, I'm on the radio.
Yeah, it doesn't this mess things up? It's kind of cool because you're already Wednesday tomorrow, and it's like, wow, okay, downhill slide. I mean, I kind of like it. I actually read some story of these people that have like 4-day work weeks, and then the three all are happier than the rest of us. And I thought, you know what? I think I could see why that would be.
I would prefer a 0-day work week. Let's just have a 7-day weekend all the time.
It's party time. All right. Couple of things that I don't understand. For folks who don't know, Megan comes on. She takes the top stories that are tweeted, retweeted, shared, or whatever you people do anymore, and we discuss them here in the state of Minnesota. She throws out all the football stuff, all the sports stuff, because she hates it. I don't know. I don't know why we don't, but it was fine. And we just talked the political. Today's stories, I presume, make no sense to me from basically top to bottom. The shooting at the Catholic school, I presume, I'm right? I mean...
Yep.
Okay.
That's number one.
All right, so here's where I'm at on it. Cray guy. I mean, this guy was not normal. This guy had issue upon issue upon issue. Terrible stuff happens, and these things will happen with crazy people. And then it's the yelling for gun control. If this same crazy kid just decided to take his dad's SUV and ram through the same stained glass window into the kids, we would not be yelling to get rid of all SUVs. You know what I'm saying? But it's almost, you can write the script. They're going to say it. They're going to try to do it. Your thoughts on, am I crazy here that crazy guy was the issue here? Am I just missing it, Al? You don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of backtrack for folks that haven't heard, which I think it'd be crazy if you hadn't, but last Wednesday there was a shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church, which is in downtown Minneapolis. It's a church and a school. So a 23-year-old shooter opened fire through the windows of the school's church. They were in mass at the time. I believe it was 2 8-year-old and a 10-year-old who ended up passing away. I think they updated it over the weekend, 18 children hospitalized, 3 adults in their 80s as well. Another boy who did some interviews with the media, they just found a fragment of a bullet in his neck, so he's going in for surgery this week. But really a terrible scene. And yes, it sounds like this shooter was someone who attended this school, 23 years old, changed their gender at the age of 18 with their, parents' permission. The mom also worked at this school for 5 years, retired in 2021. So had some kind of context with this school. There were YouTube videos that a lot of people aren't talking about that were posted online. They've since been removed, but YouTube videos where the shooter is flipping through pages of his notebook where he lays out the floor plan of the school, really kind of fantasizes and loves school shooters. A lot of weird, mental things going on. There are students from his time at this school that said, he was kind of always a loner, weird, like it's a red flag to me now, but it wasn't back then. A lot of things at play here. Then you have the mayor coming out and saying, if your, thoughts and prayers, like that's wrong, it doesn't do anything. And I guess my perspective is, we pray because our hearts are broken and that's all we know what to do. We know that isn't obviously a solution. Policy and change also needs to be a part of the conversation. But to your point, we're going after the weapon. Would we go after, the SUV, or would we call that, just mental illness? I think there's a lot of things at play here, and there are a lot of solutions that don't include an outright ban on.
Yeah. Now, you brought up an interesting thing about the prayers, which I, again, forgot about since last Wednesday. But it wasn't just the mayor. Then you had a couple other politicians coming up and basically reiterating that same thing that, don't give us your thoughts and prayers. We need, action. Um, I wanted very much on Wednesday to give them the benefit of a doubt. The mayor was hurting. He didn't know, but as we went along, and this caught traction across the U.S., actually, to sit there and say to Catholic people, I mean, this is the Catholic school. Not everyone had to be Catholic to go there, but I mean, this was a religious school. To have them have to go through the problem of getting their children shot at and then tell them their prayers are wrong. I don't know if you could misread a room worse. I mean, who are you talking to?
Well, and then you have Governor Walz coming out and saying it's time for the legislature to act now, which a lot of folks are interpreting as, okay, special session. Obviously, we're in a weird situation right now where we've got, special sessions and what are the real numbers. And I don't think Walz would have full Democrat control of both chambers to get anything done. But as I'm, looking at both Republican and Democrat lawmakers and their response to this of, oh, let's ban guns, let's, that extreme idea. Then on the Republican side, I'm actually seeing some interesting things that I didn't even know were laws in Minnesota. So Representative Drew Roach is like, I want to repeal. Apparently, there's this ban that we have in Minnesota on licensed mental health professionals from providing talk therapy to individuals who are struggling with their gender identity. Did not know that Minnesota has that ban, but he's like, let's repeal that. Let's get people the help that they need. There are so many other solutions more encompassing than just ban the weapon. The weapon's the problem.
See, and that is so funny you bring that up because I read that somewhere this morning or yesterday. I don't remember where. And I thought to myself, that would have been such a talker, in my line of work, if we were going to be talking about that bill and discuss whether it should be happening or not. And we didn't. It had to have been in some of these omnibus bills that they threw out there. And someone threw this line in and said, should someone be considering changing their sex, you're not allowed to talk to them about it?
And I wonder if that came out of the banning of gender conversion therapy, like if it could be interpreted that way. But the way I read the actual physical statute is that mental health practitioners literally can't provide their resources to people who are struggling with that. Like that's where the line has to be drawn. And to me, that it's a mental health problem. You should be able to talk to your therapist about anything. Why are we restricting? Yeah.
Yes. It's like, don't go tell your doctor about, that's kind of when you see some of these commercials. Don't take it if you've ever had a transplant. Your doctor doesn't know you had a transplant? Hello? What's the scar from? Anyway, not different subject. What gets me, and I'm losing my train of thought, is that this young man, even in his own writings now, as we understand it, was confused about his transitioning, right? He said, maybe I shouldn't have done it. I'm not going to get completely changed. He was still in this limbo. But what I don't understand is that conversation cannot be had. Not saying you're crazy if you want to do it. I'm just saying that, hey, what are the parameters when you sign up for your permit? He got his guns. He didn't have any criminal record
recently. Yeah.
Yeah. So that isn't obviously on there. You having problems with your identity? Yes, no. I mean, I presume they asked about alcohol and drugs. I don't remember when I took mine. But the other thing was he transitioned at 18, is what I read in this story. Isn't he a full-grown adult by then? And then why would your mother have to sign off on it?
I don't know if she had to sign off or if she just was like in the documents of like, oh, this person, like just to show where this person came from, like born from, here's dad, like here's what the birth certificate said, sort of thing. But also, I mean, you've got leaders like Angie Craig, who's, Congresswoman running for U.S. Senate, saying that there needs to be a flag on bulk purchases or when people are buying multiple guns in a short period of time. But for me, this guy had no background history with law enforcement. There was nothing on his record. So if you're flagging something like that, what are you going to do? Like an extra background check on them? Or like, what is the next step to try and figure out if where you bring them to a therapy session, check in on them? Like that
is you are so right in that we keep trying to solve a problem with answers that don't solve the problem. This kid's mental issue wasn't flagged. We're in Minnesota. We have red flag laws. Mm-hmm. I would find it very interesting. And you brought up that he put videos online. I presume he has followers. You don't just do that. I mean, unless you think you got somebody following. I think I saw one of the things he had 60 followers. Is there not an obligation from the folks that saw the video to red flag that and say something's up. Tell me mom didn't know this kid was got some issues more than just his gender.
At the root of the problem, which I think is the
I'm sorry.
Social media and this idea that, I think it's a lot more toxic to our youth than we are caring to admit. There's a lot more issues with, raising iPad kids, and the facade of what you put online doesn't, match up in reality. And people think that life is this, beautiful, perfectly crafted thing, and it's just not. But yeah, it's hard for me right now seeing all these solutions come forward when you actually think critically about them and think about them in practice. It's like, does that really work? Are we really getting to the crux of the problem? Part of it too, this school did not practice their, like, I don't know, whatever shooter you do, like
protocol.
A practice on what would happen. They never practiced that in chapel. They only practiced it in the school. So there's another breakdown of, safety things that we can do. I'm not saying it would have prevented it. I'm just saying, it wasn't something the kids were prepared for, and the kids came out and said that.
Well, when you look at when you bust it really far down, this is my Dr. Phil moment for you. This young man, whatever his troubles were, wanted to kill himself. But the difference back in my day, here's old Al guy, we didn't have the ability to become a rock star or whatever he thought was going to happen by putting this out there and doing a mass shooting. You know what I'm saying? Back in our day, we had people who committed suicide. It's not good, never was good, not great, but it wasn't, well, if I'm going to do this, what's the thing I can do on my way out to really make a name for myself? I don't know how we've gotten to this except for the internet part. He's posting it. Look at this. I drew the pictures. I did the thing. In my day, suicide was different.
Yeah.
It wasn't a way out. But anyway, that's just Al, Dr. Phil. We're going to talk about whether we can actually have a special session or not. We'll do that with Megan right after this on Megan's News and Review.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Everybody knows you have to have a guy in the auto repair business. If you want a car, you need to know Paul. Paul owns Jay's Auto Shop. I don't know. Ask him. Jay's Auto Shop's locally and veteran-owned. Paul's your guy in the car business. He'll fix just what needs fixing, make sure it's done right, and at a fair price. You want to know your car's being taken care of, take it to Paul at Jay's Auto Shop. 202 North Main Street, Blue Earth, 507-525-1052. 507-525-1052.
as in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
Lucky to have her Megan's News and Review. One of the stories I saw that even Representative House Speaker Dameth has said she'd be interested in a $50 million grant program for non-public schools to use for security or to help with security. And I don't know, I get this weird thing that it's just like putting this Band-Aid on. See, we did a thing. We threw $50 million at it, agreed to $200 million. But guess what? Unless you're putting in bulletproof stained glass windows, it doesn't solve this problem.
What she's proposing is $50 million for non-public schools. So like charter schools, private schools. I mean, it's something that already exists for public schools. So it would just equate public, private.
Fair enough.
But
fair enough. But what is this? My point here to get there, because this is my brilliant segueing. So the Walls is saying maybe we should have, or at least insinuating having a special session between now and February. When they come back second week in February, I believe. This could be a huge mistake. Or is it just political theater? And I ask you that, Megan, because with the numbers the way they are, split in the House and the Senate until we have a special session for Mitchell's seat.
Not until November, yeah.
So they're not going to go with the Republicans having the ability to run ruckshaw over this, or whatever the phrase is. Is it just theater? They're not going to do this. There's no way.
Well, part of me thinks maybe, yes, it is, because even, Speaker Demuth was like, it's kind of sad that I'm House leadership and I'm first hearing about this from social media. Like, the governor hasn't even talked to us about this. So, I don't know. But the Senate, you're right, is down 2. They're down 2 members. That won't happen till November 5th or whatever November election day. The House is down 1. I think is pending a September 16th special election, or I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
But everything will be decided by November 5th. We'll have, back to a full chamber on both the House and the Senate side. But yeah, until those numbers are concrete, I don't think any sort of gun control, and I say that in air quotes for folks who can't see me, who knows what they're even proposing, but I don't think it's possible in this current.
See, and you do that, and once it's open, you can't tell them you can only talk about one thing. It could be any one of these people who's tied, think, hey, I want to make a name for myself, can throw a hand up and say, I'd also like to talk about new loon legislation about, and all of a sudden they're off and running. I don't think the governor wants that, but I also don't think by November this will still be the top story, which is sad.
Yeah. And I would even say, too, the governor obviously is dealing with his own stuff, too. He's, constantly pushed back on these self-imposed deadlines of when he's going to announce that he's running. His latest one was after Labor Day or after the Minnesota State Fair. Today is now after the Minnesota State Fair, so he's still kind of mulling this bid. You've got.
I just read today he's thinking. He's saying possibly another week or so.
Because of this, it's always going to be something, and then you have these kind of, I would say, strong candidates. Steve Simon, Secretary of State, I would call him a pretty strong candidate. Maybe kind of mulling this bit in the background too. He's a very, level-headed, stays out of the media, tries not to get too controversial. Obviously he's had some recent tiffs with Trump, but he said, it's all legal principle. It's nothing to do with political parties. Just a level-headed dude that I think would probably make for a pretty good DFL candidate, but they're just we're waiting. We're a year out now, and it takes a lot to fundraise from the
how bad does
campaign.
By not getting in or out, how bad does Walz actually hurt his team in that they're not raising those funds that they have to raise? And it'll be easier for them than a Republican, but now you shorten that window up.
And they're already dealing with, fundraising challenges on the, the DNC level on the national stage. It sure does trickle down into Minnesota. And I think Walz is kind of hurting his own party with all of this. Oh, let's wait and see.
Yeah. We got to fly, Megan. Appreciate you being here.
Yes, thanks for having me on, Al. We'll be back next week. Maybe we'll talk about a potential new DFL candidate for Minnesota governor and other top Minnesota news stories here on the Al Travis Show with Megan's News and Review.
Tired of one-sided media and divisive noise drowning out your concerns?